TikTok's telling me there's no sound detected.
You've known them to run their mouths about politics. Politics, schmalitics. Well, little did you know, they can run their mouths about other stuff as well. This is the Mark G Show. They have a natural curiosity about just about everything, from aliens, the paranormal, to the biggest natural disasters that have ever occurred on planet Earth, and everything in between. Two brothers from another mother ripping it up. And oh no, we don't record the show. We have the balls to do it live. Call into the show at 207-370-5852. That's 207-370-5852. Be a part of the show. Let's do it. This is the Mark G Show. And now your hosts, Mark G and Gary G.
What is going on, everybody? What's happening? TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, LinkedIn, Kicked. Listen, everybody, what's happening? We are broadcasting this show live with the world's two dipshits out there today. We got Zach. Ladies and gentlemen, Zach is a man that thinks he's got sugar mamas. Yeah, but instead he's got sugar grandmas. Then we got Gary, my brother from another mother, sitting over there as well on the other end. What is going on, two gentlemen? How are you today? Gary, what's up?
Don't knock the gilf kink, man. Don't kink shame.
What the hell? Oh shit. Anyways, you guys don't rock the gilf kink. What's going on, Gary?
Oh yeah. There's it's going to be an interesting conversation tonight. I'm looking forward to it.
It is. What the hell is that noise?
Cameras below us.
We did. Yeah, not glitching.
I think we're glitching.
Are we glitching?
Hey,
I don't know.
Mark, I just wanted to let you know you're glitching. You should watch movies more than once, and that's what happened.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, that smart ass you're hearing is Zach. Zach, what's up, my man?
I'm good, man. Don't knock the gilfs until you try it, man. I'm just saying.
Wow. So you're saying you rocked the box with the gilfs, huh?
Yeah, try everything once, man.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, when we end this episode tonight, we're going to make sure we auction off Zach tonight, okay? We're going to auction off Zach to the highest bidder tonight.
We're not doing that again.
Yeah, well, we are. We're going to auction you off tonight.
Not again.
At the end of the show, we're going to auction you off to the highest bidder tonight. Yep. I'm sorry, Zach. It's happening.
It's Gary's turn, not mine.
No, it's happening.
I'm not sure my wife will be cool with that, but I don't know.
Hey,
Zach, you're the only single guy here.
Hey, Mark, I just wanted to let you know it's glitching.
Yeah, unfortunately. Listen, folks, I understand we are glitching, and for that, I do apologize. You can watch us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Kick as well if you'd like to. I'm not sure what is going on with the glitch. It's a TikTok thing.
It's a big glitch.
It is a big glitch.
Who is always Tina? I got a message just saying, yeah, no glitching here.
Yeah, that's Tina Shue. It's not a message she posted in the comments down there on YouTube.
Oh, I can see those.
Yeah. I got to sit fixed so you guys can see the messages now. You like that?
Yeah.
You like how I did that? Yeah, it's pretty interesting, ain't it? I'm trying to be bigger with the podcast, Zach.
Wow. Okay.
I know. Just trying to move up in the world.
I was going to start clicking on buttons on the studio side, but I don't know if it's going to change anything.
Yeah, so. Gary, don't touch the studio shit, okay, Gary?
But it looks different today than
Gary,
it did last week.
Yeah, Gary, you don't touch buttons.
But they're different.
But I know they're different. Listen, Gary, do not touch buttons. Back away.
Where the other things went.
No, Gary, back away from the buttons.
Dude, some stuff.
Even Tiffany saying, yeah, you're better on here. I'm glad we're better. Where are y'all watching us from? YouTube. All right, fantastic. Yeah, not glitching on Facebook neither, I'm saying.
All right.
Nice. All right, so yeah, it's just see, I told y'all it's a TikTok thing. TikTok is screwing up. TikTok is probably throttling us because it's a hot subject, right? And there's a lot of mixed emotions right now. We have a war going on, and it's quite the divisive war as well. It's quite divided, which is very interesting to me. The TikTok software was last updated 3 days ago. It updates automatically. My wife has just asked me when was the last time I updated it because I'm bad at that stuff. But yeah, man. So Zach, You have admitted to myself and my brother that you are absolutely clueless on this war.
Well, I'm not clueless. I just haven't really been, paying attention a lot because I've been sleeping and having my daughter watching men wear spandex with a pigskin ball.
Oh, that sounds fun,
Radical.
Yeah,
right? Watching men run around spandex. That's great.
yeah, man.
So what do you know about the war, Zach? What do you know about the war? I mean, I'd love to hear what you know about the war first.
That it's between Israel and what is it, Gaza?
Well, Hamas, unfortunately,
Hamas,
Gaza is where
yeah,
Hamas is located. Yeah.
yeah. And basically the terrorist group that is against the Jewish people and all that stuff. So that's probably who they're trying to find. That's why we keep seeing them bomb the same area more than once in the same spot every day because I feel like they feel like that's where they're hiding out and they're trying to, you know, get rid of them before anything.
Gotcha. All right. And Gary, obviously, you've been watching this war pretty closely as well because you said you know quite a bit of people within the Jewish community. I do want to start with you because I don't know that many Jewish people. So I want to know, as far as you on the state side, what are you hearing from the people in the Jewish community? What are they saying? What are their concerns? Have they told you
They're
any of
just bummed
this?
out. Then they're just obviously going to support Israel, and they're going to support their people and their culture and their belief system. It's just it's an unfortunate unfolding of events right now.
All right. So for everybody coming over on the TikTok side, coming to the other social media platforms, I've said this quite a bit before, and I'll start off my conversation. We're going to come into this podcast with an open mind, looking at a couple of different sides. Right, we're going to look at it from the people of Palestine, who are what you'd call victims of war, because not every Palestinian is in Hamas. Unfortunately, they are becoming victims of war. So as we talk about this, first and foremost, I want to say that I do feel bad for all the women, children, elderly that are trapped on both sides.
Disclaimer.
Disclaimer. Should I get a disclaimer out of the way before we go any further, you think?
I mean, it might be a good idea.
Yeah. Okay. Let me get my disclaimer out of the way. The wife just texted me too and says, "Did you do your disclaimer yet?" I have not. All right, so let me get my disclaimer out of the way. Folks, welcome to the Mark G Show. Everything you hear and see on my show are the views and the opinions of myself and the guests who are on the show. Anything and is for entertainment purposes only. I ask anything that you may question, please do your own research. As always, it's always good to do your own research. Take the information as you please with it, and let's move on. Is that safe enough? You think we're good? Oh, here, let me add this too. There we go. Got the viewer discretion is advised out of the way as well. So I think we're good now. Zach is so quiet. Zach did send me a message, said, "Dude, I'm going to be so quiet because I have no clue how to discuss this tonight because I don't know much. So it's going to be interesting." But you should be paying well attention to this, Zach. As much as you like to say that you're not watching it, I'm going to say you should be watching this war closely. This war has a lot of hands in it. That's bad for us. And in many ways, from Iran is now getting involved. Egypt is possibly getting involved there. I found out Egypt is opening up their borders, though, to allowing refugees to escape the war-torn city of Gaza. But Iran has also said that if Israel continues, Iran will get involved and they will be helping with Hamas. And if Iran gets involved, the U.S. is going to get involved more. Right now, we're just got ships off on the coast, and we haven't even put fucking boots on the ground yet. And I don't even believe that we have flown birds in yet. So Thrift Shop says, "Let's go. Who do you support?" I am for Israel. Thrift Shop. But listen, and I just mentioned this before. Yes, I am for Israel. They're the first ones to be attacked. The people that are in Gaza, I feel bad for the ones who are not Hamas. There are innocent children, women, and elderly who are being killed and being killed on both sides. Let me add, they are being killed on both sides. But what Hamas has done to the Israeli children, and the beheadings have been proved from beheading babies, is absolutely disgusting. And Hamas needs to be hunted down like the filthy animals they are. They absolutely do. Now, as far as the other children, like I've talked about this before in another live on TikTok. Yes, I have heard that children have also died in Gaza. I do feel bad for those children, but I want everybody to look at this in the aspect of war. Unfortunately, Hamas are terrorists, and the one thing that terrorists do is they hide inside of people's homes. They hide inside hospitals and schools where there are children. These people are unable to escape because Hamas, or we'll just say terrorists, will hold these people within those homes, using them as personal shields. And unfortunately, we are still attacking them because if they shoot rockets from that location, retaliation is shot back. And that is unfortunately when you have civilian casualties. The civilian casualties, you really cannot blame the people that are protecting themselves and firing back at the rockets that are fired at them. You have to blame the terrorists that held those people within the homes. You cannot blame the people that are retaliating. That is my opinion. And I will move across the panel over here and see what everybody else thinks. We will start with Gary next on that one, and we'll move forward from there.
I have more friends that are in the Jewish community. I have more personal, better experiences with folks that are Jewish. I'm pretty ignorant about the situation. Like I don't know enough history about the Israel. All I know is that there was something to do with old wars that are going on. And then Britain came in and I think they did something with the Gaza Strip. They gave it to the Palestinians. I just don't know enough to like have like a really hard opinion on who is oppressed, who's, whatever. I'm going to just support my friends who are part of the Jewish community. Yeah. I don't know enough to like really have a hard information or input on it.
All right, Zach.
I agree with Gary. I don't have enough knowledge to really give anything, but I do have friends that are of the Jewish community, so I support them. Yeah, I don't have enough knowledge to really give anything at the time right now.
Okay.
What I do know though is when it's any type of war that's influenced based off of faith, it doesn't seem like it's going to be a very short battle, and it doesn't always seem like it's going to come out, good. If that makes any sense.
Right.
Like,
well, no war is absolutely.
No war is good. But I mean, I feel like a war off of resources can get pretty bloody and then there's going to be a winner, right? But when you have a war on religion, like these religions are not just in Israel and Palestine. Like these folks that are Muslim and folks that are Jewish are literally spread throughout the entire planet. So when you have a war that is faith-based, I feel like it's just going to be more messy than a resource, like just a straight up resource-based war. I mean, I could be wrong. I'm not very smart, but that's just my hunch.
Right. Nuclear, right. No, if you, so on TikTok, someone's saying take faith out of the equation and you still have Hamas, the target civilians. Right. So listen, we're 100% saying Hamas is evil. Hamas is absolutely demons.
Totally.
And are we saying that there's not innocent people in Gaza? Not at all. There are innocent people within Gaza. There's innocent women, there's innocent children, there's innocent elderly. There are. And unfortunately, in war, any war that you look at, you can go back to previous wars. There's always been innocent lives that have been taken as well. You go back to Operation Desert Storm was one of the first ones. And the reason why I want to bring that up is because when I first started streaming the webcams, the live webcams on TikTok, I had a lot of people attacking me for streaming the war. And a lot of them are the younger generation. I don't think they remember in Desert Storm, when we initially started in Desert Storm, we fired. Oh, wait a minute. Right. No, men are not guilty. You're right, my wife. The innocent men as well. There are innocent men as well over in Gaza. That's right. My wife is correct. She says I kept leaving out men out of the equation. No, there is innocent men out there as well. Um, but no, when you go back to Operation Desert Storm, we fired. It was a shock and awe. That's how it started out. It was a shock and awe. We did nothing but fire missiles. The whole time we were firing missiles during Desert Storm, it was televised on every major news channel. It was also played on the radio. You could listen to it play by play on radio stations. So and so just launched a missile and it was nonstop coverage for Desert Storm. This is nothing new as far as televising it. All media outlets, from as well as from my perspective, from what I've seen, a lot of media outlets are not showing the gory stuff that people don't need to see. But at the same time, I don't believe people should be blinded from it, because people should know what the cost of war is. They absolutely should, because if you shield yourself from the evil, you're never going to know the truth. You're never going to know it. That's why you always want to look at things. For instance, when they originally came out with the beheading of the babies, it wasn't proved in a lot of media outlets, including underground podcasters, all did say that they cannot verify the legitimacy of it until, Commander started talking about it, because there was a girl during Iraq that I can't remember the whole story. I just recently heard it, where she was talking about a certain incident that happened with Saddam, and it ended up turning out to be fake news and propaganda. She got in trouble for it as well. I can't remember the full story. I really wish I would have memorized that damn story. But yeah, no, there's innocent men, women, children, and elderly on all sides. Absolutely, on both sides. What we're more concerned about, what we're more worried about, is Hamas, and now as well as these other countries that are getting involved. And that's where people like America, UK, and other countries around the world do need to focus on. Because if Iran gets involved, if China gets involved, there's been talks, and I don't know the legitimacy of those talks. I have to look into more, that Russia has been planning on getting involved, which I don't know how that's going to happen. That's why I don't know the legitimacy of Russia, because Russia's already involved in their own war, and I don't think they can get their men from Ukraine, their Ukrainian war, and bring them over here. But those are absolutely scary, because once you get all these countries involved, then yes, we could possibly see the beginning of World War III. Thoughts?
Not excited about it. Not excited about it. Like, I'm just, I feel like it's like they say, it's always darkest before the dawn, right? Like, I feel like before shit gets better around the world, it's probably going to get a little more messy. And that's kind of scary if you really think about it, because over the past few years, we've seen things kind of decline. And if it just continues to decline and we slip into a third world war, it's going to be rough for a little bit, seems like.
Right. I mean, I can tell you, when I was doing this on TikTok, when I first started, one of the biggest concerns people had, and I think I tried to reassure them the best that I could from my knowledge, they were asking regards to like a drafting, if it ever really came down to it. And the thing is that people really need to look at drafting, because people get plugged with that, right? Social media, content creators, social media is crazy. People put out shit out there, and if it goes viral, people start worrying, even though the truth is it's not the truth. People know that before drafting is ever even a consideration, there's a whole slew of things that our military Department of Defense has to do. There's a thing that's called a stop loss cause. That thing was activated during Desert Storm. When stop loss cause comes in, what happens is when you first get out of the military, you're locked into I believe it's 3 years, a 3-year contract that they can call you upon service for 3 years after you get out. But on top of that, if you're still in, but you're scheduled to get out the military and say, yeah, no, I'm sorry, you're here until the war is over with. So we have the stop loss. On top of that, you have a lot of veterans here in the United States that would re-sign up and join back up again before they would have their children, grandchildren ever go fight a war. They would instantly sign up and get ready to go over there before they saw their children do it. So do not worry about the draft. Let the draft be on the back, like way in the back of your mind, and not be too concerned about it. Couple other things that happened over this week before we start having a full-blown conversation about other stuff here, and I want to get your guys' thought. Hamas leader called on jihad to cause attacks across the world on Friday the 13th. Obviously, we had a few acts happen, none here in the United States. We did have some protests, but they all seemed to be peaceful. But we did have a couple of stabbings. There was one in China. There was one in France. Those are the two that I heard about. I don't know if there was any others than those two. But I honestly feel as if, like Gary was saying, it was a feeler. But at the same time, I feel like that's not our element of surprise yet. And I feel like Americans should not be off edge just yet. I feel as if there still could be a chance of an attack that could happen in the future, in the very near future. And I want y'all's thoughts on that. Gary, you have a pretty good opinion on that because you and I have had that discussion before. What are your thoughts on that?
Like I was telling you, I think it was more of a test. I think you say to do a thing and then you see what the response is, right? And then you either delay that response or you delay what the actual initial threat was. So it's like if they called for it on October 13th, Friday the 13th, if that's the actual day that they called for it on this year, just recently, as you said, not a lot happened, right? So either their community didn't support that, or it was like a test run to see what the response is going to be, so they can adjust and then wait until next year on Friday the 13th or any Friday the 13th and then make that their day, right?
Right.
Or just maybe the community, the general public doesn't support that call. So it's really hard to say, obviously, because we're not in it, but it's interesting.
All right. So, Zach, before I go to you on that thought process, Cheryl Gibbons did post on Facebook, I guess there was an incident in Chicago. A landlord stabbed a mother and her 6-year-old son, and they were Palestinian. So I guess there was an incident in Chicago. Cheryl Gibbons, do you know if that was due to the call of action by the Hamas leader, or was that just another dispute that happened to be like a deja vu type of thing?
Mother is critical, little boy is dead. Wow.
Fucking disgusting. Zach, your thoughts on the terrorist call to action for Friday the 13th, where a few events happened but did not. Do you feel that there's still an imminent attack on the U.S. at some point that could happen?
I mean, yeah, I think it's possible. I'm going to go with Gary, what he said. I think it was really a test more than anything to see what would happen, and not that much happened. So, I mean, they could be planning it for the future on that day, or, I mean, they could have just been saying, this day is going to happen, and then they could possibly turn around and go behind everything and do it another day that we don't hear about. So,
because I think we can assume, based off of the conversation we had a few weeks back, where we kind of talked about the sleeper cells.
yeah.
Mark and I have been kind of sending some DMs back and forth with a lot of clips from the border crossings where there's like people who are interviewing all the folks coming across, and it's literally just huge groups of military-aged men. And it's like they say if these are people fleeing their country and they're trying to go for safety, they would bring their families with them. And there's zero families present in these places. They're all, healthy 18 to 30-year-old looking men who are all they look pretty fit. They look pretty ready to do whatever they got to do to survive. And so it's like, I think it's pretty safe to assume that there's more than a handful of sleeper cells that are just spread all throughout all of the major cities in America right now. And again, this Friday the 13th call to action was a dud, but that doesn't mean that there are not other groups. So they made this really public, right? Like on the news. So
They
what
did.
if, so if you think about what happened on Reddit a handful of years ago with the stocks, when like the AMC stock popped, right? Because everybody got together on some like kind of low key underground thread and a bunch of people fucking took action at the same time. So who's to say that there's not a way to do that with Telegram or any of these other apps that are used for communicating, and you start a group on there and you have 36,000 members who are essentially your sleeper cells, and you just say, you know, this is the day we do it, this is the time, coordinate however you got to coordinate, right?
Well, there's so many of those apps. Look at Discord there, where that soldier released the secret documents that recently got in trouble. Remember that incident? So, yeah, man, I 100% agree. There's a lot of young men crossing that border right now that have no children, no kids, and it's sad is they're shaking it off too. So the FBI did apprehend apprehend, I should say, 130 most wanted on the terrorist list, but yet that's 130. So how many more out of the, what is it, 700,000 was, no, sorry, it's was 120,000 across daily. So how many of those get by and are free?
Yeah,
That's absolutely, that's scary as fuck, to be honest with you.
it's terrifying.
And they get shipped around for free by our tax dollars. They are shipped around the United States for free. They get bus tickets and plane tickets to say, you're going here, you're going here, you're going here. To say that any state is safe is an absolute lie. Every state is in trouble.
And so I sent you
Every
that
state.
video where there's like this guy who's filming. He's just filming as he's cruising the streets in New York. And he gets in front of this building, and this big guy comes out and he goes, "Hey, get out of here. You can't film here." And the guy's like, "What are you talking about? What do you mean I can't film here?" He's like, "Go ahead, leave. Get out of here. Go. You're not supposed to be here."
Yep.
He's like, "What is this building? Like, what are you guys doing in there?" And the guy's like, "Get out of here. You're not supposed to film here." He's like, "Fuck you. I can film wherever I want. Like, this is America. You can't tell me what to do in my country." And then like 3 or 4, 5 other guys come out of that building, and they're like, "Oh, you got to leave. Get away from my building." And he's like, "Oh, this is your building now. Like, and who are you?" And they're like, "Well, who are you?" And he's like, "Nah, it doesn't work like that. Like, you're telling me to leave your building. Who are you?" And they all start to surround him. And he's like, "Hey, yo, why are you guys all surrounding me?" And he starts, and then like there's a cop parked across the street. The cop gets out, overweight, goofy looking cop. He's not going to be able to do anything. Like, he's just not, right? Like, these guys like look like if they had to do something, they could cause some damage. And so it's just like, so who are these people? Why do these people have access to massive buildings in New York? Why is the police that's local to that area not doing anything about like what could have been, I don't know, suspicious, I guess, at the very least? Like, it just seems like the government is protecting these refugees more than regular U.S. citizens. They're getting, and it's like, look, if you're an actual refugee from a shitty place and you bring your family, great. Then I believe we should be able to do some things to help you out. But when it's just a bunch of military age men and they're cruising over without their families, it's super suspicious.
And they should be turned right back around and sent
They
back to where
should
they
be.
came.
They should be.
And unfortunately, they're not. And so if we're talking about American security, that is a big concern.
Oh, Cheryl said the police agreed with the man on the sidewalk, so she saw that video. Okay.
Yeah, I pulled it up for a second.
I can't see. I have my camera and all my shit right here. Sorry.
No, so like, yeah, I got to bring my camera down at some point. But no, so, those men should be turned around. That is absolutely concerning. And it's funny because if we talk about that in open forum, if I was right now, if we were to take this podcast and we were able to go to we'll say a left-wing side podcast, we would get yelled at because they would say that they're just trying to, because they're protecting, victimizing them. And we're not trying to, we're talking about just out of concern for our own country and concern for our attacks. Because folks, 9/11 was a sleeper cell job. 9/11 was a sleeper cell job. And here's not a funny part, but one of the guys was here from Maine. Think about Maine for a
Dude,
minute.
he came
Maine,
in through Aroostook County. He came in
yeah,
through Presque Isle. From
yeah,
Canada, came into through Presque Isle
let's go.
because back then, because I used to live up there, you could literally just cruise back and forth over the border all day, multiple times a day. They didn't care. Basically, you go over customs. Do you have anything? Nah. Where are you going? I'm going to buy some chips. All right. Like that was their check. They literally didn't do anything to check you. So
Yeah,
Right?
and they
Yeah,
got on planes with fucking box cutters, didn't they?
yeah,
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 Yeah.
yeah.
yeah. So, and that makes sleeper cells absolutely scary. What's going on, Jen, over on TikTok? We see you out there. How are you?
Dude,
So,
speaking of 9/11, did you know that the dude that does the voices for Family Guy was supposed to be on the very first plane that hit the first tower?
Good Lord.
really, I
He
did not
woke
hear that.
he woke up late and missed his flight by like 30 minutes.
Really,
Yeah.
that's an interesting fact. Yeah, I did not know that.
Hmm.
So, yeah, no, sleeper cells are absolutely petrifying. That's one of the things everybody should be worried about. Sleeper cells. I don't know how many times I can mention the word sleeper cells, but you know what amazes me?
Sleeper cells.
Sleeper cells, right? You know what? Know what amazes me about that though is since I started doing the whole TikTok thing with these cams, how many people absolutely don't know about sleeper cells or what they are and do not know the definition, and that just proves to me that we are sheltering a whole generation away from evil. They are being sheltered and have this big old curtain to not worry about this shit. And we shouldn't be sheltering nobody.
Well, you got to think about it, dude. Life in America has been really good for a long time.
It has.
Like we've had it really good here. And so whether it's sheltering or not, I agree with you it's sheltering. But just to play devil's advocate, it's just, you know, our lifestyle has been pretty cush. Like you talk about having first world problems, like people are concerned about their pronouns because they don't have to worry about getting stabbed on their way to school like you do in other countries. I mean, it's going to start happening here very soon if we're not there yet.
Well, when you talk about that, there was just a guy in New York that got stabbed to death right next to his, I believe, is his wife. They just came out of a wedding, and they were sitting on a bench, and some guy randomly just walked up to him and stabbed him to death for
See,
no
that's what I'm saying.
reason. They
Yeah.
didn't know him. It was just walked up and 86'd him, and it was done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that, like, what
Did I
is going?
send you the thing? Wasn't there a report that said America is now a third world country?
I'm not sure if you sent that to me or not. But and when you look at that aspect, you think about that. That's absolutely scary to think all this is happening. And that's another thing. Listen, if I do have people who are on the left side over here, and listen, I am open to listen to people who are on the left side as well as far right. The thing is when you see people fight hard for the Second Amendment, it's stories like that and it's stories that you're hearing coming out right now is the reason why people need the Second Amendment. And it's also one of the biggest reasons that countries are kind of afraid of us. Because a lot of these dictatorship companies, yeah, countries don't allow their citizens to be armed. And if you have an unarmed citizens, it's easier to control your citizens to make them do what you want. It also makes you weak. So by America having the Second Amendment, it makes people a little more feared of us. And also to think about the amount of veterans that we have in our country. How many of those veterans own guns and are ready? They know war from firsthand. They know how to fight. And if you start bringing war to our country, these veterans are going to go back into it and they're going to they're fucked. That's it. You come after America, you're fucked.
I
Or
just
we're
did
going to die trying.
just did a quick search. What is the definition? The modern definition of a third world country is countries that are generalized by high rates of poverty, economic and political instability, and high mortality rates.
Sounds like America to me.
I mean,
Dude, see, Ohio, we have the stand your ground law. So if anything is going down, whether it be a fight or anything, you have the right to pew pew.
So listen, I'm interested on that stand your ground law. So right in Maine, we have a whole scenario here in Maine that you number one, if you do fire your firearm, you do have to shoot to 86, but you have to have every form possible to escape first. So here in Maine, if we'll say a store's getting robbed, if you feel as if your life or whoever's life isn't threatened and there's no way for anybody to escape, then and only then can you escape. But we'll say that the clerk has a chance to escape and you have a chance to escape. Both of you have to escape before you can go ahead and discharge anything. So I'm curious, how does the stand your ground law work? I am curious on that.
I think in Ohio, it's not to kill. I think I think you give a warning shot first, and if they still come towards you, then you're allowed to either shoot them in the leg or something that will just take them out, but not kill them. But if they're trying to kill you, then you have the right to go back down like that.
That to me be a hell of a lot scarier. Are you sure about that? Because warning shots, number one, of the most dangerous things you could ever do.
Yeah, I don't know. I might be wrong about that.
I hope you're wrong because a warning shot is fucking dangerous, dude.
I think I might be wrong.
I hope to God you're wrong, Zach, because a warning shot's absolutely dangerous. You should never do a warning shot. The one shot that should be coming out of that barrel is the one to go straight into a dome.
The warning shot is the one to shoot in their leg or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Shoot him in the kneecap, shoot him in the leg.
That's the warning shot.
That's a warning shot.
Yeah, that's the warning shot.
Shoot him in the shoulder.
It's something that'll somewhere that will
non-lethal
stop them from coming at you.
Yeah.
And if they continue to come at you, that's when you're allowed to, take them out.
Finish the job.
So a maim shot. Shoot the maim at first is what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Not like a fucking shot in the air.
Well, you're like a warning shot. Like shoot the maim would have sounded a lot better than in Ohio you got to do a warning shot. Boom, boom, boom. Oh shit, he got boom, boom.
No, that's Arkansas. That's Arkansas.
I'm just saying shit. Oh dear God. Yeah, Jem was saying I know the stand your ground law. Dear God, you kill me sometimes. All right, so yeah. Now let's talk about Biden's reaction so far, just a little bit here. Number one, he's I guess he tripped up the stairs again this week, which is kind of interesting. He did trip again. Listen, I've even said this on TikTok with the fear of possibly getting banned, and I do not like the guy. Number one, everybody knows that, but I kind of feel bad that this guy they're using him, and I feel like that's all he is. Like you said, he's a puppet. He's being used, and he's too old for office. Absolutely too old for office. And I said this before, we need somebody younger in office. Listen, Trump is coherent. He can talk. He knows he's walking. But at the same time, I honestly think that he may be kind of too old.
Who?
Trump.
I feel like he's pretty fucking old, but at least he's mentally...
his mental status is there. That's fine. But like...
A lot of people are even saying RFK is too old.
RFK, dude, no, I could not have a president like RFK. Listen, number one, I'm not a big fan of RFK, but number two, I could not listen to a 45-minute speech from RFK. I couldn't.
Is that just guy? His voice is fucked up.
Yeah, like his
voice is.
I'm not trying to make fun of him, but yeah, it's like he talks like the guy that's got one of those vibrator things underneath or woman with the vibrator thing underneath their throat to talk. Like I could not listen to a 45-minute speech. That would drive me nuts.
Well, Mark, I would say that you should go for president, but you're too damn old too, so we can't do that.
Yeah, well, no, I think
way too ugly.
Oh, fuck you too.
I'm pretty sure presidents watch a movie more than once. So.
Yeah. Oh, is that do they
have to? I think it's a prerequisite.
Yeah.
Like and like, listen, my wife got me, my wife sent me a message. Or to disarm, shoot to disarm. You could try to shoot to disarm, but I feel like that could be a scary matter as well to shoot to disarm. I honestly feel like you're shooting because you're fearing for your life. So I'm just looking at my wife says shoot to disarm. I feel like if you're firing your weapon at somebody, you're obviously fearing for your life or fearing for a life of somebody else. So therefore you have to shoot to eliminate. That's my opinion. I feel like you just have to for elimination. I don't feel like there's any other option.
Well, yeah, and that goes back to that. What was that kid years ago that was on trial for killing those two people because he had like a group of people running after him, and he had an AK, and he shot and killed them. What was his name? Kyle or
Kyle
whatever.
Rittenhouse. Kyle
Kyle
Oh
Rittenhouse.
yeah,
Rittenhouse.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
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 I thought it was
I
just some random different person. I was like, what the fuck?
Listen, Kyle Rittenhouse is an interesting story too. Real quickly, we're watching these cameras. I'm not seeing nothing going on down there right now, which is probably a good thing. But Kyle Rittenhouse is an interesting story too, if you think about it. There's some situations that he was kind of in the wrong by going, even being down there in the first place, but he did do it in self-defense, and that's where I know he was innocent. But for him to just go down there, to me, felt like that was the only part that was in the wrong on his end.
Yeah.
I mean, out of that whole case, did you guys watch that case at all?
I watched bits and pieces of it.
I
Yeah.
didn't.
You didn't follow the case at all, Gary?
Nope.
Surprisingly. All right.
Yeah, I just figured. I mean, I'm pro Second Amendment, so I just encourage people to, arm up,
Right.
buy ammo.
Right. So my wife asked, did he have family there? He did have family there, but at the time he wasn't there. He went down there because a friend called him and asked him if he could help protect a dealership. I believe it was an auto dealership at the time, and that's why he went down there, is to protect a dealership.
Well, that's called forming a militia, right? Don't you have the
It
right
is-
to?
You do have a right to form a militia in the United States. Yes,
So isn't that what they were doing? That's what it sounds like.
that's what it sounds like. Yes.
But I don't know. I don't know enough about
Right.
the case.
Right. I mean, that could be a story for another time. And Kyle Rittenhouse is innocent, and I always said it from the get-go that he was innocent. And there's been other scenarios that I definitely don't agree with. For instance, that one that started the major riots in our cities. But let's not worry about none of that. Let's get back to the big picture here. We're seeing more people being divided here in America, which is going to be another scary thing. So thanks to our government and also thanks to our mainstream media. Remember my disclaimer, folks. Okay. Thanks to our mainstream media, thanks to our government, we already have people divided by color. We already have people divided by black and white. Thanks to our media and thanks to our government, we already have people divided the worst they ever have been in politics, like the worst they've ever been in politics. Now, because of this war, which I still say our administration, the current administration, helped fund this incident that happened, we now have a new divide in this country between pro-Palestine and pro-Israel people. And I feel like we are going to see something rise up here in America that could equal out to be another BLM scenario. I feel like we're going to see another BLM scenario here in the U.S., and I feel like it's coming soon as this war amps up.
Yep, I agree completely with that.
Agree completely. Do you not agree with me about the government and the media causing the divide on the other things, or because you were quite quiet on that one?
No, I'm agreeing with all of that. I think
Okay.
the media is extremely guilty of causing these multi-fractional divides throughout people.
Right.
It's just, and it's not hard to do. That's the craziest thing. Like, I just read a comment in the section here. It says, like, it's crazy how there was less division in the 90s. And that's true. Like, people used to be able to, like, respect the differences and the different belief systems of other folks. And it's like nowadays that seems to have stopped, which is kind of interesting. The whole point of America is to, like, embrace the differences.
All right. Comic Dad, you are right. The media does want a civil war, but so doesn't certain politicians. Mm-hmm. And this biggest divide, like, I've never seen politics this bad ever since I can remember. From being a kid, I've never seen people fight like this, like they have today. And it's sad that it took a guy like Donald Trump to cause a scenario where he broke the frickin' system. And because he showed the system the way it is, has pissed off every other politician to make them attack him. That's the biggest thing. Because Now, listen, folks, whether you like Trump or not, you have to admit his policies that he created was fucking phenomenal. You can say you don't like his mean tweets. Hell, there's been some times that he's tweeted shit, and I was like, what the fuck did this idiot do? Like, I was slapping myself in the head, like, why? But his policies were insane. And now I'm scared to where we're going. I honestly think because of this war, and you can mark it, flag it, what does Dan Bongino say? Flag it! Because I honestly think because of this war, and if the U.S. does get involved, I feel as Biden will use this as his hands during elections. He can either thank you for the hand heart. He can either use this to serve. Listen, I'm a president that while this war has started, I am already in office. Let me finish this war. And he will try to win people on that matter for him to still be a presidency during a time of war. That's one play that I can see coming out of their handbook. And that's one play that they will try hard with. Sonia, can you elaborate more on the martial law? I would love to know how you want as far as, or do you have it? Do you kind of know what she's talking about on that one, Carrie? Because I would love to have an elaboration on that one.
Well, I mean, I don't know what exactly she's talking about, but I know if martial law gets enacted, we're not having an election. And so when shit gets out of hand, the president can pretty much declare martial law. I think there's been a couple of times where there was like a temporary, really, really short stint of martial law, but essentially, if we do go into a third world war, Biden could just say martial law, and then basically the military will be all over our streets. Police have to just kind of follow military law. Whatever the military says is what it is. They could barricade roads. There's not going to be an election. They could they could literally do whatever we want. Then at that point, we would not be a democracy. Because I think once you go like into a legit martial law, coming out of that is basically next to impossible.
All right. Zach, your thoughts? I see you over there chatting away, so focus on us, Zach. Hi, we're over here.
I'm looking up stuff about everything that's going on right now. Sorry, I wasn't even really paying attention to what Gary was saying. All I heard was stuff about martial law.
Wow, folks. Zach's like, hey, Mark, I love being on the podcast. Let's still be on it. And he's like, oh, I wasn't even paying attention to what Gary was saying. Like,
so 6 times martial law was declared in the United States.
Yeah.
And during the 6 times that the martial law was enacted in the United States, what happened in that? How was the laws enacted and what was done?
So 12 hours, 1800s. Looks like 1944, Hawaii accidentally did it.
Wasn't there one in the 90s?
I'm looking right now, 1918. I thought there was one a little more recent in history, but yeah, I don't know. It looks like it was mostly 1900s, 1800s. So,
well, what's the source you're using for that one? So if people want to look it up,
it's just military.com.
Military.com. Okay.
Yeah, history, 6 times martial law was declared, and the Constitution was suspended in the United States.
Right. So, yeah, nucleus or nuclear.
Now this one says over 60 times. So I don't fucking know, man. The internet is weird like that.
All right. So military.com is a good source, but what was the other source you just looked at there?
Axios.com.
See, Axios, that's
the most recent one I'm looking at is 1963.
Okay, what about 1963? What happened there?
That's the last time it was declared.
What's the reasoning why it was declared? Does it say?
Let me find it. I wasn't on the website. I was reading it from Google. There's 1933, 1941.
I mean, because I'd be curious. So if they just say martial law is enacted, but there's no reasoning behind it, then how do we know that that information is true, right? So there should be reasonings why the martial law was enacted. There can't be no reason why.
Right. I can't. God damn, it's going through every single martial law in history right now. So I'll have to fucking find it.
All right. You're looking at the Martial Laws Act. Now we know you're not paying attention because you're actually doing some research now that we actually know.
Oh, wait, here it is.
Okay,
It
here we go.
says at the state level, martial law was last declared in 1963 when Maryland Governor J. Millard Tallwess imposed it on the city of Cambridge. Fuck,
Massachusetts?
yeah,
Okay.
of course it fucking cut it off right there.
So Massachusetts, but it was at local level though, it wasn't federal level. So maybe that's what you're looking at, Gary. Maybe that's why you're finding different versions of martial, like different counts of martial
Yeah,
law.
so this one says 68 times.
68 times, but is that federal level martial law or is that local?
I think these are
Localized.
local because here's one, the Battle of New Orleans, 1814, Louisiana. Then
Yep,
another one,
I just found
Hawaii Territory. That was that was federal.
That was federal.
So Rhode Island State, 1842 for 11 months. Utah Territory, it says see notes, so I'm going to assume that was local. Missouri, back in 1861, that was federal, 4 years.
Found it.
Found it? Go for it.
Well, this one says martial law was last declared in the United States in 1966 when the governor of California imposed it to suppress unrest in the Hunters Point neighborhood of San Francisco after a white police officer shot a black teenager.
Wait, 19 what?
1966.
Wasn't that what was black? When was the Panthers formed?
Not sure.
Oh
I'd be
shit!
curious
That
about
was like what around World War or
Black
no, that was
Panther.
about that was like Vietnam, wasn't it?
Black Panther. I don't know. See, I'm clueless to some of this history. So, but somebody on TikTok is saying look up code 47 US.
1966 was the Black Panther Party's founding.
So that's the last time right there it was declared was 1966.
Okay, that kind of makes sense. So they were formed probably due to that shooting, because they were a force to be fucking reckoned with back then. That was some major shit that went down during that time. But
what year was Vietnam War?
oh dear God, why you ask me history?
Just say it. Just say the word Vietnam.
Yeah.
November 1st, 1955 to April 1975. Was it a 20-year conflict? That can't be
Very
right.
well. But Zach, well, he's looking up that. Zach, look up 47 US code 606.
Okay, hold on.
Someone on TikTok posted. I'm curious what that is.
Okay, hold on. Let me retype that. Okay, what was it?
47 US code 606. See what that pulls up here.
It says upon blah, 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 makes sense. By the presidents that there exists war or a threat of a war or a state of public peril of or disaster or other national emergency or in order to preserve the New York. Yeah, I can't even read these fucking words. The president he deems to necessary to interest of national security or defense may suspend or amend for, and it cuts off. Hold on, let me click on a link.
All right, so this is actually probably talking about martial law right here.
I don't think that's gonna. Oh wait, here it goes. Where did I leave off at? The president, if he deems it necessary in the interest of national security or defense, may suspend or amend for such time as he may see fit the rules and regulations applicable to any or all stations or devices capable of emitting electromagnetic radiations within the jurisdiction of the United States as prescribed by the Commission, and may cause the closing of any station for radio communication or any device capable of emitting electromagnetic radiations between 10 kilocycles and 100,000 megacycles, which is suitable for use of navigational aid beyond 5 miles, and the removal therefrom of its equipment, or may authorize the use or control of any such station or device and or its equipment by any department of the government under such regulations as he may prescribe upon just compensating to the owners. That was one long ass sentence, bro.
Jesus Christ.
Of course it was. But no, okay. I kind of get it. All right. Cutting the radio communication, right? Yeah. So pretty much, yeah, they're saying that they can cut radio communication and forms of communication for people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, let me ask you this, though. Both of you know what's happened recently. So when we were kids, we remember our TVs, we'd get the weekly test every week on the TV, go off. This is a weekly broadcast test, emergency broadcast system, da 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 da. We've had a failed attempt before in the past for our cell phones. Just recently, they did it again on our cell phones. And just a few days after that test, where the war pops off between Israel and Hamas. Yep. Do you guys think that that test was a coincidence, or do you think it has a play with what's happening?
Well, I never got the test on my phone, like I told you, so...
Well, you're part that's going to be screwed in the end. But Gary, as far as you goes, I know you got it.
How did you not get the test?
It never popped up. I was at work and everyone else's cell phones were going off, and mine never went off all day.
Zach is marked by Scientology. That's why.
Oh, that's right.
Yes, he's marked
now, huh?
Yeah.
But no, I'm not the only one. I was listening to a radio station, and they're saying that a lot of people didn't get it either. So,
must be your part of your Scientology group, eh?
Well, I also heard that they made the test go off earlier than it was supposed to. So that's one of the reasons why a lot of people didn't get it.
So Angie on TikTok is saying there are no coincidences.
No, I feel like our government knew. There was warnings. Israel was getting they were getting warnings, like leading up to the initial conflict. They were getting warnings.
Right. Diamond Girl. Well, y'all know I got a text message. That's just great. All right, so Diamond Girl over there says she didn't get it neither. I did not think my microphone was going to pick that up. I thought my phone was low enough.
Nope, we heard that.
Everybody heard it. Let's see. There was a response saying, didn't he have family there? Okay, no, that's an old one.
Yeah, so I don't know. I agree with the comment. I think there are no coincidences. I think this is kind of part of the playbook. I think countries, our governments are willing to sacrifice massive amounts of their own people to accomplish whatever their goals are. And I think this is just part of the playbook.
All right. Chad, this is the time. If y'all got any topics you want to hear us talk about or get our opinions on, please go ahead and feel free to type them in down there below. But I'm just sitting here trying to think about, with everything going on right now, I believe at this point everyone does, especially in America and across the globe, really do need to keep their head on a swivel, because anything is possible at this time, especially with sleeper cells. Sleeper cells are one of our biggest concerns, but at the same time, we got a bunch of crazy other countries out there that aren't afraid right now, because we look extremely weak to other countries. Although some people say, oh, the U.S. is not weak. We do not look weak, but we do. And not only is our government making us weak, and I want to put this out there real quick. Our government is not the only ones making us weak. And I hate to break it to everybody, but we're also making us look weak to everybody else out there in the world. And the reason why is because the rest of the world is watching us be as divided as we are. When they see us fighting with each other over shit like politics or shit, bunch of other stupid shit out there, they're sitting there saying these Americans can't bind together, so they're fighting against each other, so they're weak. Which means, because when we're divided, what is it? Divided we fall, united we stand. Mm-hmm. Right now, we are absolutely divided. And I did ask this question multiple times before. When was the last time America was united? Everybody posted 9/11, and I beg to differ now. Here's the reason why. On 9/11, America stopped and was all shocked together in awe on what was happening. But when we united was back on 9/12. It makes sense to me now. We united on 9/12 because our shock and awe was over with, and we realized that we need to stand up and fucking go. Go ahead, Gary. You want to say something?
The point that they're making is 9/11 was the event that made Americans stand together. And unfortunately, we entered into a 20-year war of horseshit based off of more lies that our government fed us. But that's another chat for another time. But that event is what made Americans stand together.
Right.
But then over that last 20 years, we've slowly started to fucking crumble. And obviously the last 3 years have just been a complete shit show.
An absolutely shit show. I mean, and because they're now seeing that, that's what also makes us weak. And that's what makes these countries feel like that they can have a bigger hand on us. It's not just Joe Biden, or this government. It's also us. And we got to figure out how we can come to that medium and realize, oh shit, we need to fucking unite because we could be in deep shit if we don't. We all do need to fight to close our borders. Having these open borders is an absolute joke, and it puts our country at risk. You cannot say having open borders does not put our country at risk, because it absolutely does. And if you don't see how it does put us at risk, talk to somebody and be like, what are your thoughts on it? Why? Maybe ask a friend who may be living in Texas, say, hey, can you show me what's going on? And I do want to point out something. It is coming to cities near you. If it hasn't yet, it will be. It'll be coming to your small towns too. These people don't have homes. They're being shipped around across the country. They have no places to be housed. I want to tell you something that I just took I attempted. So that's another story. But as I brought my kids to a possible monster truck show to Portland, Maine, just down by the waterfront in Portland, we saw roughly 50 to 60 tents posted up right off the sidewalk on this little hill mound out in the public, right by waterfront, downtown district, where people go out to eat and everything else. These tent cities are just set up because people have no place to live. Now, is it all immigrants that live? No, there's a bunch of locals in there too, because our economy sucks balls right now. And there's a lot of people homeless because of the cost of living. The fucking rent's outrageous, but it's to see this, we know shit's going to hit the fan on many other levels. So if we're not worrying about terrorist cells right now, or sleeper cells, I should say, you should also start worrying about people starting to fight to get into your house because they're hungry or they're trying to get warm. Because the more that we have homeless people on the streets, the more that they're going to feel helpless and the more they're going to fight to survive. Human nature is to survive. Human nature is to do what you can to survive. I'm telling you right now, if I was living in the cold for a month or so and I have nothing else going for my life, I'm going to try getting someplace warm. And if it's your home and you got food, I'm going to at least try. I mean, that's
and
scary.
Most of them will probably try to commit crimes just so they can go to the jail, so they can get a free meal and have a place to sleep.
Exactly. And which means our jail's going to be overrun. But the sad part is they're turning people away from even our jails now. Yeah. They're sitting there, they're bringing them in, they're book processing them right through the police station, and then they're sending them right back out the door. Yep. A lot of criminals who should be behind bars right now are not, because our prison systems are overpopulated. And that is also causing a big issue here in our country. Another big issue. And people don't see it. Like, people are like, oh, we got to defund the police. Well, these police officers, you're going to want him there very fucking soon when shit starts hitting the fan. Because my favorite singer, Tom McDonald, made one quote. Says, call the police and a pizza and see which one gets to you first.
Ooh.
Guarantee you're going to get your pizza first.
That's crazy.
Guarantee your pizza's going to get to you first. Haley's over here saying we have many that complain of chest pain as such just to be in the ERs. Yeah, they come in the house. I mean, it's crazy. I live in a city in Maine, but it's still somewhat small, where I consider it small towns. I've lived in some larger cities, and to see the homeless encampments that are out here now from back when I used to be a kid and lived out here, it's insane. There's a whole community right here on by the waterfront where I live in Maine, in the southern Maine. It's just not Portland. It's way smaller than Portland, but like it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I mean, Zach, you live in Ohio. Do you live in like a big major city out there, or?
So I'm 15 minutes outside of Columbus, which is the big city. But my city is somewhat small. I mean, it's a decent sized city, but I barely have seen any homeless people here. Like,
damn,
I've probably only seen, since I've lived in the city for 3 years, I think I've only seen maybe 2 or 3.
How's
But mo-
Columbus though? Is Columbus just
Columbus is bad. Columbus is
yeah?
real bad. Yeah.
Okay.
So what you're saying is they just haven't spilt over to you just yet.
Yeah, they haven't made it this way yet, but the main city, like in Columbus, it's bad there.
And your winters are cold as shit, right?
Oh, dude, it's cold as fuck right now. It's like 46 degrees outside.
Yeah. So I can only imagine when it comes to fucking December how shitty it is to be homeless there. Like you're in Portland, it rains a lot, and it can get down into the 40s, sometimes into the 30s, but it's not very common. And it's like when I lived in LA, I was like, fuck, being homeless in Venice Beach is like, if you're going to be homeless, that's the spot to be homeless, you know? Because it's like
Yeah.
beautiful weather year round and people are always throwing you money and throwing you food. But like up here, and I would only assume in Ohio, like it's cold. Like in Portland, Maine, winters, being homeless in the winter when there's 4 feet of snow on the ground.
Well, I think
Jesus.
it was last year, I think, when the homeless shelters were overpopulated. The one things they did is the local Maine government bought the homeless people bus tickets and sent them to a warmer state for the winter. So they wouldn't freeze to death. So listen, there's no place we can house you. So they gave them a bus ticket and shipped them down to a warmer state.
Isn't that wild though?
It is. It's like, hey, listen, you might have been lived in Maine for your whole life and now you're homeless, but we have no place to put you. So here, we're just going to ship you to another state. Now you become their problem.
Now you're
Which,
in Miami-Dade.
right? Now you're in Miami. Yep. Angie is Bake says, I'm an hour south of Atlanta and it's noticeable here. Been to Chico, Texas, though. Hold on, I don't know who Jason News talking to. I'm trying to get caught up on all these.
Probably Sharky says he's in Heiko or Hiko.
All right, gotcha. We got so many comments going on tonight. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, it's absolutely crazy. But this war has got me concerned. Absolutely, I think that's why a lot of people have been tuning into the war streams that I've been streaming because it is concerning to see where it's going to happen. And if U.S. puts boots on the ground at any point in time, we have a lot to worry about it then. We have a lot to worry about if U.S. puts boots on the ground. I know there are tons of deployments right now. I've had multiple people message me. I'm not going to say the branch. Well, obviously deployments, just imagine branches, okay? I have multiple people who have messaged me, tell me family members have either A, been told to stand by for orders or have already received orders and is already being shipped to certain locations to prepare for something, to be ready, which is absolutely scary. But we knew it was coming when we saw it.
So one of my friends that is in the military, I was talking to her the other night, and I'm not going to give names or anything, but she said that people in her unit are about to be shipped out in like a week or two, and they're calling it a suicide mission, basically, because the mission that they're going to do is basically to prevent another 9/11 from happening.
Where? They don't know where they're going, or did they not
They
tell
can't
you?
say.
She couldn't tell me, but
They can't say. But yeah.
Sweet.
So there's a lot of stuff to worry about right now, man. There's a lot there. To say that people should not be worried, it'd be absolutely lying. And to say, and for people to say that we're fear mongering, there's no way we're fear mongering. Listen, we're normal day people as everybody else. We have a platform to talk a little bit, discuss some things. To say that we're probably not scared, I guarantee everybody up here has got a little bit of fear in what could possibly happen. But we've lived our lives. Like Gary said, we lived a cushion life for a very long time, a very cushiony life. We got a lot of privileges that people don't have in other countries for now. Could that change in the future? It very well could. Could I say my biggest thing is, as a father of 5 kids, my biggest thing is what kind of future do my kids have coming to them later on in life? What kind of future is happening? Where could they have to learn to freaking speak Chinese down the freaking road or whatever, or Farsi? We don't freaking know. Like, it's scary. To think that America's safe. A lot of people are like, oh, America's safe. We got some of the strongest military. Da da da. Just because we have a damn good military and we got people with Second Amendment does not mean that America cannot turn into a war-torn country. Imagine having a couple of 100,000 or so terrorists wake up as terrorist cells within the U.S. and start coming out blazing, there's going to be bloodshed, and it could be scary as fuck. That is worst case absolute scenario. But everything is worst case. Now, let's say we have another 9/11, and that could possibly happen. That's probably more of a likely scenario than anything. But that is scary to see. And the other part is, what if Russia gets involved? Putin is a crazy fucker. North Korea, crazy motherfuckers. And say what you want to say about Trump. Say what you want to say about Trump. That motherfucker's the fucking, was it, second president ever to step foot over in North Korea.
Mm-hmm.
And you know why people did not start wars or why people didn't fuck with America with Trump? Because they were afraid of him. They were afraid because he was a little loony, because he was a little crazy, and they knew I didn't want to mess with, let's say, what's Trump's nickname to it for all the people on the left? What's his nickname there? They call him Big Yellow Man or some shit
Orange
like that. Orange Man, because Orange Man was going to push the big red plasticky button. They were afraid, and they knew that he was probably crazy enough to push that fucking button, so they didn't want to test him and see if he would actually push that button, because he instilled that fear in him with his freaking words. So say what you want to say about Trump, but that is one of the biggest reasons why we did not get fucked with by any other country. And people don't like that pushover. And now we got a president who's not showing strength. You can say what you want, but I honestly, if you think he's showing strength, please prove it to me. But I have not seen any strength come from this current administration. I have absolutely not seen any strength come from this current administration. If you are on the left and you want to argue with me on it or show me proof, please do. You can email me, shoot me a message on Instagram or anything like that. I would love to see that. But go for it, Zach.
And it's like what me and you were talking about before we even went live on TikTok. Like, I was like, oh, well, Trump needs to become president again. You're like, nope, Biden will remain president if we declare war.
Right. Well, and now listen, just because we're at war doesn't mean he would be. But the thing is, history has shown whenever we go into a war and we got boots on the ground, typically the president who is in that office would win their second round of elections. Because people feel as if that president let us into war, that president will, quote unquote, take us out. So people typically will vote for that president. And I hope that's not the case. I really hope that's not the case. But there's other things that can happen down the road. And these are conspiracy theories, you know, with fucking freaking tinfoil hat on my head that could happen. Like, could this administration be trying to make it so they do stay in office? Because I don't know. But then again, there's calls that Michelle Obama may be running. They're saying that Biden may not be the nomination and that Michelle Obama might be the next one to try running.
Big Mike Obama, huh?
You're on the Mike Obama train, huh? You're on the Mike Obama train, huh? I was sticking with, I was being the nice guy with the Michelle Obama, but I see where you went with that one. Let's see. Worried about waking up to a drone parked in the bedroom. Mikey, I'm just reading the comments now. First, right? Listen, y'all, we can laugh. We can have good times. But in all reality, I don't care what fucking side of the fence you are in political. Every friggin' underground podcast or underground news source you're going to listen to right now is going to tell y'all, keep your head on a freaking swivel. Watch your damn surroundings. Because America's not safe. I don't care if you think it's the safest. America is not freaking safe. And to think that America is safe, you're hiding behind a fucking rock. Mm-hmm. You need to peek out from behind it. I mean, Gary used to be one of the biggest liberals I've ever known in my life. And let me ask you, Gary, do you think America's safe?
I think there are probably pockets that are safe. Small towns are probably still pretty good. But I think if you live in a major city, everything you're saying is spot on. I think all major cities are basically shitholes now. Like, my wife and I went on a bike ride the other day, and we just went into downtown Portland. And just like the vibe, the energy of the people there, fucking not cool, man. Like, it's not that I felt unsafe, but I definitely feel the tensions are in the tension is in the air in major cities, and yeah, I don't think major cities are as beautiful as they have been made out to be, and I don't think they're as good as they were 15, 20 years ago. I think walking even like Skid Row downtown LA, that's a shithole. Outside of Skid Row, if you're walking downtown LA 20 years ago, probably would be fine, right? In most parts. Portland, 20 years ago, walking downtown, 100% fine. Everyone's smoking weed. Everyone's just chill, doing their own thing. Nowadays, I feel like it's definitely different.
Zach?
I agree with Gary. Yeah.
Boy, you just got a lot of I agree with Gary's tonight. Barely talking over here, Zach.
Oh, he takes all my answers. God damn it.
Ask Zach first.
I guess we're gonna have I think next time we're gonna start asking Zach questions first because Zach is.
And then I'll just be like, I agree with Zach.
That's how you usually fucking go. Like the last podcast, everything was me first, then it was to the other dude, and then it was to Gary.
Yeah, the other dude. I was just watching a clip from
one and done.
I was watching the clips from that podcast where you guys are giving me shit about my whole movie thing. That was kind of funny. That one's on TikTok, by the way, where you guys are giving me shit about that. That is on TikTok, by the way.
I saw it.
Did you?
That's great.
But yeah. So I guess if anybody's going to take anything out of this podcast is, yes, to watch what's happening right now unfold between Israel and Gaza is very important. You should not let it slip behind you and forget about what's going on. You should be keeping a close eye on it. Should really be paying close attention to the U.S. involvement. I think what the U.S. does down there is going to be is a big role play in what we could possibly see happening in the near future for us. If we start seeing boots on the ground and our birds are starting to fly over there, I feel as if scary times are going to be coming even worse. I feel like our streets are not safe. I feel like sleeper cells, they've been here for years. They haven't just been here during the Biden administration. So I will say the sleeper cells have been here for fucking years upon years. We've learned that once again from 9/11. There's still plenty more sleeper cells out there. That's why the Patriot Act was enacted. But here's the thing too. Let's talk about that because the FBI, I feel like, are kind of not doing their job lately. And that's why that's one reason why I agree with Vivek, who's another presidential candidate who's talking about redoing the FBI, firing every fucking buddy out of there and bringing in freaking people because the FBI has done us dirty as well, where they've categorized parents who go to school board meetings to protect their children with certain events. So I got to be careful what I say here, but I've labeled those parents as domestic terrorists. Those parents are not domestic terrorists. They're parents that have got concerns about their children, and that's all they are. But the FBI is so more focused on that and so focused on trying to, they're not even focused on the laptop situation or the gun that fucking Hunter Biden left in a trash can next to a school. Shit like that's been slipped through their hands too. But the FBI is more focused on coming out. Oh, actually, here's a good one. Did you hear that the FBI has also been told to start looking into Trump supporters? Yeah. I think I shared that to you, Gary. If you're a Trump supporter, you could possibly be being investigated by the FBI.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
Also, if you're a Trump supporter too, Hillary Clinton has also said, along with a bunch of other mainstream media outlets, have also said that you've got to be deprogrammed. And I don't know what they mean by deprogrammed. I mean, are they talking about putting us in concentration camps? I mean, obviously that's a tinfoil hat scenario. I'm just joking around with that one, folks. But how do they plan on deprogramming people who were? This is fake. Christopher, that is 100% not fake news. Hold on. Where's the information? Hold on. Let me find it real quick. Give me a second. This is fake news. I got to come up with the receipts. I wasn't even going to bring it up. FBI told to investigate Trump supporters. Hold on one second. I'm going to pull that up real quick. Gary, who did you hear that source from? Talk to about.
I'm trying to remember.
I'll look it up too, Mark.
So on Yahoo News, it's I don't know what the Guardian is, but Trump supporters may need to be deprogrammed, is what she said. So many. Sadly, so many of those extremists take their marching orders from Donald Trump, who has no credibility left by any measure. He's only in it for himself. He's now defending himself in civil actions and criminal actions. And when do they break with him? Because at some point, maybe there needs to be a formal deprogramming of the cult members, but something needs to happen. That is Hillary Clinton.
All right, I've got a receipt right here. Anybody want to see this? This is actually on MSN.com's website. And this is a left-wing news source right here, MSN.com. This post was stories by Jonathan Jones 1 week ago. FBI now targeting Trump supporters ahead of 2024 election report. The FBI is now targeting supporters of former President Donald Trump ahead of the 2024 election, a new report claims. A person described as a current FBI official who said that they did not want to speak on record told Newsweek in a jarring report that was published on Wednesday, the Bureau is quietly working to profile conservatives. Newsweek reported the federal government believes that the threat of violence and major civil disturbance around the 2024 U.S. presidential election is so great that it has quietly created a new category of extremists that it seeks out to track and counter Donald Trump's army of MAGA followers. At the heart of the FBI apparent concern is an event most of the country has moved on from, minus the corporate media and many Democrats, the January 6, 2021 Capitol incursion. The FBI is in almost impossible position. The Bureau source told Newsweek the person added that people behind the profiling of conservatives are well aware that focusing on so-called MAGA voters comes with what's called the risk of provoking the very anti-government activists that the terrorism agencies hope to counter. The source added, especially at the time when the White House is facing congressional Republican opposition, claiming that Biden administration has weaponized the Bureau against the right wing, it has to tread very carefully. More than a dozen additional federal government employees were asked about the targeted campaign, Newsweek claimed. Most of them preferred not to comment, the outlet reported. You all know what no comment kind of means. It is unclear what the report planned to target Trump supporters might entail. The FBI issues a comment to Newsweek for the story that did not directly dispute the claims of one of its own. The threat posed by domestic violent extremists is persistent, evolving, and deadly. The FBI's goal is to detect and stop terrorist attacks, and our focus is on potential criminal violations, violence, and threats of violence, the Bureau said in a statement. The statement added, anti-government or anti-authority violent extremists is one category of domestic terrorism, as well as one of the FBI's top threat priorities. We are committed to protecting the safety and constitutional rights of all Americans and will never open an investigation based solely on First Amendment protected activity, including a person's political beliefs or affiliations. The U.S. Justice Department has faced scrutiny for throwing the book at people who were at the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021, but not go inside the building or who were not accused of engaging in any violent actions. Meanwhile, the department has mostly dismissed the deadly riots of 2020 that were perpetrated almost entirely by the leftist political activists. FBI Director Christopher Wray was defended his agency handling of the riots in relation to the incursion of the Capitol. So, as you can see, it is not fake news. There is receipts. They have not denied it, nor have they applied that it is true. So, Mark, listen, Zach, I was reading an article. It wasn't I was reading a freaking article, Zach, that legitimately people were talking about saying fake news. I wanted to pull up receipts. So I went to MSN's website, which is a left-wing news source.
That is crazy. That is fucking crazy, though.
Yeah, it was on CNN. It was an interview she had on CNN.
So it's not fake news. It's legit. And it's just like Hillary Clinton. I wonder if I can find the audio clip. I want to find that audio clip. Gary, do you got something you want to talk about real quickly? I know you're chomping down over there using your lovely chopsticks. I want to find the Hillary Clinton audio real quick, though.
So, Zach, how about them Bears?
Really?
Dude, no, bro. Dude, I don't even want to talk about it, dude. I had a poll at work, and we each put money in for the pot, dude. And I was so sure the Bears were gonna get their ass kicked today, bro.
Well, duh, Bears.
Dude, like, look at this shit, dude. The games that I fucking lost on was Atlanta and Washington, Chicago and Minnesota, San Francisco and fucking Cleveland. That one was surprising. Philadelphia and New York. Yeah, I probably
Well,
lost.
you got all that extra money now, so you can just throw it away on football games. Oh wait, Mark.
No,
Fine.
no, this is for work.
That's at work.
Yeah,
You guys throw money at it at work?
only $5 a
Okay,
person.
yeah, that's kind of how we do it. Yeah.
All right, so this is about a 7-minute clip, but go ahead and just listen to this.
When you look at how to go forward for the country, as you say, is there any area of coalition building that could happen? There are pragmatic Republicans, as you say. Could there be a whole new way of trying to, get legislation going and cross-party governance going by Democrats and certain Republicans forming a coalition?
Well, you saw the number of Republicans who voted along with Democrats to keep the government open. So there's clearly a common sense, sane part of the Republican caucus in the House. But I think they are intimidated. They oftentimes, say and do things which they know better than to say or do. And it will require us defeating those most extreme measures and the people who promote them in order to try to get to some common ground where people can, again, work together. That's the way it used to be. I mean, we had very strong partisans in both parties in the past, and we had very bitter battles over all kinds of things, gun control and climate change and the economy and taxes. But there wasn't this little tail of extremism wagging the dog of the Republican Party as it is today. Mm-hmm. And sadly, so many of those extremists, those MAGA extremists, take their marching orders from Donald Trump, who has no credibility left by any measure. He's only in it for himself. He's now defending himself in civil actions and criminal actions. And when do they break with him? Because at some point, maybe there needs to be a formal deprogramming of the cult members, but something needs to happen.
And how do you do that? Because you said you have to defeat them by defeating their leader. Their leader is Donald Trump. Even you have said
You got to be deprogrammed. Let me continue playing it. Hold on.
that you expect him to be the Republican nominee. How does this change at all?
At this point, I think, sadly, he will still likely be the nominee, and we have to defeat him. And we have to defeat those who are the election deniers, as we did in 2020 and 2022. And we have to, just be smarter about how.
I have a quick question, though, since we kind of already went on the political level. Election deniers. I'm just curious, can anybody quote me if I'm wrong? But didn't Hillary Clinton fight really hard saying that Donald Trump did not win, along with a lot of people on the left, and with the Russian collusion and so forth, and only to come find out the Russian collusion was a hoax, and Hillary Clinton had somebody draw up fake paperwork on that shit as well. But didn't she fight really hard and deny Donald Trump's election as well?
It's projecting. Basically, everything that the left says the right is doing, the left is doing. Right? So it's like if you're making fun of somebody, you go, they're making fun of me, but you're the one that's making fun of them. Right? So that's what they do. That's part of their playbook.
So my question is this, though. So if they're going after Donald Trump for this type of stuff, for election denial and stuff like that in these states, shouldn't, if Donald Trump gets prosecuted, right, if he actually gets found guilty, I believe Hillary Clinton should be charged with the same crimes because there's proof that she actually did it. So therefore, the law is not good just for one person. If the law works, then the law needs to be for everybody that has broken the law. If that's the case, Hillary Clinton has broken that freaking law, and she needs to be charged just like Donald Trump. That's my opinion. You can like it or not, and let's continue playing it.
We are trying to empower the right people inside the Republican Party.
Hey, she chuckled at penis
Nancy
too.
Pelosi had a majority of 5 votes when she was Speaker. Kevin McCarthy had a majority of 5 votes. Nancy Pelosi passed consequential legislation. And she clearly had members within her caucus who, ranged across a spectrum of political beliefs and ideology. And she kept everybody together. And she kept everybody focused on the future. Mm-hmm. He couldn't do that. And so he paid a price, but more importantly, the country paid a price.
And so when you see
at the gas pump now
between potentially Trump and President Biden, what goes through your mind? And particularly, how do you process that this person who defeated you back in 2016 is still at it, given all that you've said? 91 indictments, civil
I don't know. I think they're done. But
transgressions.
But y'all heard her say that Trump supporters pretty much, or she calls MAGA extremists, all need to be deprogrammed. Mm-hmm. Y'all heard that, right? So I just want to point it out there. When someone told me fake news, we legitimately just went ahead and showed receipts on that fake news. We showed the receipt on the fake news on the deprogramming of Trump supporters, or we also showed the fake news about the FBI opening up investigations on Trump supporters. Like, the FBI should not be worried about Trump supporters. The FBI should be focused on the sleeper cells that are here in America and cracking down on these sleeper cells, going after all these people that have crossed our freaking border 100% illegally, the military-aged men who are young and healthy that came over by themselves. I'm not saying focus on the families, the women and the children and the men that came over as families, but focusing on the individual men who came over for themselves, because who the hell are they coming over for? They're not coming over to save their wife or save their kids from a war-torn country or save them from poverty. They're coming over for something. And what is that? Are they coming over to plan an attack on our country? That is the freaking question to ask. Are those military-aged men coming over to plan an attack on our country? We have not vetted them. You can't tell me we have vetted them. There's no freaking way. They are here and they're here for a reason. We need to know. The FBI needs to stop focusing on parents who are at school boards. They need to stop focusing on MAGA or Trump supporters or anybody who's conservative. They need to start focusing on these freaking guys that are coming across our border and protecting us, the Americans. The American people, yes, we can defend ourselves, but we also don't want another fucking 9/11. And how do we prevent that? By investigating all these people that are coming over our border. Let's start funding our police. Let's start funding our border patrol. Screw the freaking IRS. We don't need all these extra IRS people that the fucking Biden administration has hired. We need more people in the border patrol. We need more legit FBI agents, more legit freaking people to protect our fucking borders. And that's how we're going to freaking get America back. That's how we're going to protect America. We need to also stop sending money, weapons, and everything else we got to fucking Ukraine. We also need to make sure we keep some ships over here. We do, but we need to stop sending our ships over to fucking, listen, I'm all about protecting Israel, but the more shit we send over there is also going to leave us defenseless. When we start sending our weapons, we start sending our artillery, our men and women overseas, we're also leaving ourselves open up over here. People, we need to fucking wake up. America comes first. Americans come first. Everybody else comes second. That's how the other countries do it. They can take care of their citizens first before they try to take care of any other country. Right now, America's fucked because we're not focusing on Americans. We're focusing on other countries when we need to be focusing on our own. We have Americans who are homeless in the streets. We need to be focusing on them as well. All right? That's my piece. That's my feelings, my opinions. You can like it or not. This is the Mark G Show. I'm going to go to Zach and Gary on their opinions from everything that they just heard from me reading into the videos, and we'll move forward. Zach, you're first.
God, Mark, you getting so mad turns me on. No, I'm just
Bring it on, Zach.
Nah, dude. I agree with you. Like, if we're sending all of the weapons and all of our people over there, then yeah, like you said, we're fucking defenseless. Like, we need to take care of our own before we think about sending people over there. And if we set foot on that fucking land over there, then it's game on, and we don't have fucking anything over here. So yeah, I completely agree with that.
Gary.
I agree with Zach.
Oh, fuck you. You badass.
No, I think it's you both bring up a good point. If we keep sending all of our resources to Ukraine, if we keep sending our resources to Israel, China has a base in Cuba. Russia can come in through our west coast. Like, if we just keep sending all of our resources and our personnel, our finances overseas, and with a fractured society that's all pissed off at each other, like, it might even get to the point where, like, our enemies don't need to fire a single shot at us because we can just crumble from within. So, yeah, I think we really need to focus on our own soil and get the homeless situation figured out, get these prices to come down, get people to make livable wages again. I think we need to put America before we put our foreign fucking investments.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have gone on now for roughly, it was an hour and 35 minutes. I think we are going to go ahead and call an end to the show as it strikes 11 p.m. over here on the East Coast. I want to thank everybody for coming in. I'm going to leave y'all with this. I've already said it once before. I'll say it again. We do need to start focusing on our own, but we also, once again, need to stop allowing the media and the government to divide us by different things. I've already said it. The government and the media has divided us by color. The government and the media has divided us by politics. We may not agree with everything that everybody says that has different political opinions with us, but it's also what's dividing us. Remember a great country when we didn't care? We could agree and disagree and have a beer afterwards and have good laughs. Unfortunately, now it's having enemies after we disagree with each other. We need to start learning how to unite, because when we're not united, we're weak. When countries see us weak, they want to attack. So we need to unite again as one. And we cannot be united if we're freaking fighting like we are now over stupid bullshit. And we shouldn't be focusing on color. And everybody knows that already, because it's not the color of it. It's our soul. We all bleed red if we cut open. So remember that. As far as everything else goes, keep your head on the swivel. We've talked about sleeper cells. We don't know. I'm not trying to fearmonger you, but always keep an eye out around your surroundings. Know your surroundings. Protect you and your family at all costs, always. And yeah, that's all I got tonight. Anybody else got anything before I hit the outro? Zach or Gary?
Gary, you got anything?
No, I think I've said my 2 cents on the last little rant.
Well, I was honestly just going to agree with Gary. That's why I asked him first.
In that fucking case.
Okay, I do got something, guys, to lighten the mood. And this is a very important piece of information that I always leave Mark's audience with. Always wipe front to back.
But wait a minute. What if your nails are too long? Ain't they going to scrape? Did I have this conversation during the last podcast where we talked about Jeffree Star from TikTok?
Yes.
So, because Bubba brought that up, like, when people have really long fingernails, like, how do they wipe? I mean, I think we had this conversation before. Those long ass fingernails there, you're going to cut yourself, man.
Because that's when you were talking about get a bidet.
Yeah, you got to get a bidet. If you got long ass fingernails, you need a bidet, man, because you're going to cut yours. No. We're out of here. Have a good night, everybody.
You've been listening to the Mark G Show. You may know them from their political commentary, but there's a lot more to the fellas than politics. And that's why we created this show. We hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon. But until then, make sure to reach out on social media. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok at The Mark G Show. And to email the show, it's on air at themarkgshow.com. Take care, and we'll see you next time on The Mark G Show.